Hey guys, I'm here for part 2 of So You Want to Compete. The first video pretty much covered everything from deciding what division you want to do to picking a show to picking a coach. So all the things that go into the initial thought of wanting to compete. I've actually decided to go ahead and break this up into 3 videos. So in this part, I really want to just cover everything from what you should expect throughout prep, things to get ready for your show, things that you need to actually purchase to get ready for your show. That goes for guys and girls. And in the third video, I'll actually cover show day preparations, things that you're going to experience at your show, things that you're going to experience post-show. All right, so in the last video, I covered, like I said, finding a qualified coach, picking a show, registering for your league and that show, and then also goal setting for that show. I'm going to be cheating again because I made notes, and I'm just going to read off of those basically. So I want to pick up with what to expect during prep. This is something that I kind of want to spend a little bit of time on because we don't usually post pictures or blogs or excerpts from what we experienced during prep. We don't usually tell you guys like, hey, I'm feeling like super exhausted. I kind of want to, punch everybody in the face because I'm low on carbs, or, like I just feel like I don't want to do this anymore, or this isn't fun, but just want to cover some of those feelings because they are real and they're usually not something that people tell you you're going to experience. And I think a lot of times people think, hey, this isn't normal, or maybe they think this is normal. And I urge you that if you're feeling any way during prep that doesn't feel comfortable for you, that you let your coach know. Because ultimately, competing is fun, but your health comes first and foremost. So, what to expect during prep? Physically, you are going to be tired. I mean, you're going to be pushing your body to the limit. You're going to look better than you ever looked in your life. And so that comes with, sacrifices. That's going to come with a price. You can't just wake up, go to the gym and do your regular routine. It's going to be intensified a little bit. And you need to come to expect that. A lot of times I hear people say, I'm so tired, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, well, yeah. Like I said, you're pushing your body to a point that it's never been to before. So you can expect to be tired. You can expect to be exhausted. Not just tired, but to the point where you're like forcing yourself to roll out of bed, where every little thing is like just intensified, like every little move you make is just takes so much energy, requires so much energy. And so just expect to feel tired. I will say if there's other physical symptoms such as feeling lightheaded, don't laugh, but being constipated, other things like that go along with competing. There are times when you might have an insulin spike and you start sweating and get really shaky. These are things you really need to let your coach know, if you have a good coach, and they can coach you through that. But an insulin spike is not something you should be coached through. You really need to watch that and take care of that. Like I said, if there's any little thing out of the ordinary that you're feeling that you've never felt before that doesn't feel normal, you really need to take caution in that and exercise, good health etiquette in letting your coach know and just figuring out what that is. Because going back to the insulin spike, you have one of those, one too many times, and that's how you get diabetes, So not going to go into how many competitors actually have some type of blood sugar disease or anything like that, but really just be careful with what you're doing and make sure that your health is always first on the list in your mind. Nutrition-wise, yes, in order to drop weight, you are going to be in a caloric deficit. So you are going to be eating less. Most times you are going to be feeling hungry. Sometimes your coach is going to have to, drop carbs, raise the fat. They're going to have to do certain things. But if you're doing something like where you're on the same diet for 2 weeks and it's something like, I don't know, eating fish and asparagus for 5 meals for 2 weeks every day, you might want to find a new coach. But that's something that you're going to rebound really hard after that. And that's another thing when it comes to nutrition, is that you have to be really careful of. This whole prep, you're probably going to be in a caloric deficit. So the last thing you want to do at the end of your show prep, at the end of your show, is go out and binge eat on a bunch of junk. Have you ever heard of somebody gaining 20 or 30 pounds in 2 days? This is how it's done. Being in a caloric deficit and then binge eating. One way to avoid that rebound is to not put yourself in such a small deficit in the first place, or large deficit in the first place. So like I said, again, this goes back to if it feels uncomfortable, if something just feels off, ask somebody, ask another competitor, ask another coach. Just make sure that your coach has your best interest in mind and that they're not just worried about you dropping weight and being shredded for your show. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be on stage for 5 minutes. You got to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So you don't want to do any permanent damage. Emotionally, this is something that I get asked a lot. People ask me, how do you date when you're a competitor? Or how do you deal with family or friends and things like that? And honestly, if this is a goal for you, if competing is a goal, you are going to have to make some social sacrifices. And hopefully your family, friends, and your relationships will understand that this is something that you want to do. Much like if you went after your master's degree, you're going to have to spend time studying for that. But just know you are going to have to sacrifice some of that family time unless you just have impeccable discipline and, you're not going to get annoyed sitting around at a barbecue when everybody else is eating ribs and corn and all kinds of things. And you're sitting there with tilapia and asparagus in a Tupperware container, so just be aware of that. Your emotions are going to be all over the place. You probably hear people making jokes when somebody's emotional, saying that they're low on carbs or, they must be in a keto diet. And that's true, not just because you don't have carbs, but mainly because you are hungry, you're annoyed, you're tired, you're running around still doing the same amount of activity with less food. You've probably been doing it for a couple months before you even step on stage. It's going to be tiring and it's going to start to wear on you emotionally. Last of all, physically you're going to feel it, and then emotionally you're just going to be pretty exhausted and pretty tired. So those are just some things to expect when you're in prep. Like I said, physical, emotional, and then when it comes to nutrition, so just keep your mental health and your physical health at the top of your list. It's a show. It's just competing. It's not the end all be all to anything. So don't take it too seriously. Have fun with it. And if you feel like you're killing yourself to get on that stage, then maybe you should wait a little bit longer, or, maybe just explore different avenues for what you can do to, reach that level. Now getting more into what you're going to need for the show, posing practice. Okay, so practice makes perfect is what a lot of people say, but one of my old coaches used to say that practice makes permanent, and that's exactly what you need when it comes to posing when you get on stage. I know it looks easy, it looks really simple. All you got to do is walk across stage, stand there, look really cute, look really sexy, walk up, make another pose, do another pose, wave goodbye, and walk off. But when you're all shaky and nervous and you're in front of hundreds of people and those judges, you might look like a deer in the headlights. And the last thing you want to do is freeze up in your posing and then just walk off stage. So, quick story. Sorry about that. Quick story. My first pro show ever, probably didn't practice posing enough. I was just coming off of a long break. And as soon as I walked out on stage, one of the judges, actually, I'm so used to judges looking at you and making eye contact with you, and she actually looked at me and just looked away and shook her head, and it threw me off so bad that I lost track of my posing. And in my head, I'm like, it's a routine, it's a routine, it's a routine. And I just froze up and walked off stage without really even thinking about it or finishing my routine. So just make sure you find a credible coach, somebody who really knows your division and knows exactly what the judges are going to be looking for, somebody who poses you and doesn't pose you according to everybody else. Most girls don't have a lot of traps, so they don't have to worry about trying to hide that when they're posing. But for me, I have a coach who helps me pose for me. And that's exactly what you guys want. What looks good on you isn't going to look good on me. What looks good on me might not look good on you. So keep that in mind when your coach is posing you. And I know you might see somebody out there that you want to copy as far as their posing technique. Just make sure that it displays your body in the best way possible. Going back to everything that we do, you're different than everybody else. So you're going to train different, you're going to eat different, and you have to pose a little bit different. So there's a lot of things that I want to do on stage as far as posing, but I can't because it doesn't look good on me. But you're going to find what looks good on you. And I encourage you, if it's your first time getting on stage, watch some videos of other people posing just to get an idea and see how confident they are. Maybe see some videos where people aren't posing that great, so you think, oh wow, I don't want to look like that on stage, and then practice. You can never practice too much when it comes to posing, because you want it to be like, if everything else goes wrong, if the lights go out, if people start rioting in the audience, you want to be able to maintain your composure, to walk across stage confidently and display the physique that you've worked so hard for. And that's what you have to remember, is that you have put in the work for this physique. You want to show it off well. You know, it's just like a school project. You don't want to put in all the work and then not be able to give the presentation when you get up in front of your class. You know, so I've known plenty of people who don't have, you know, the best physique, but they place better because they can pose better. Okay. And there's plenty of people who should have placed better because they have a great physique and just don't know how to pose. So do not put posing at the bottom of your list. It needs to be up here, because I can't tell you how many times, especially you girls that have to wear heels, and you get out there walking like a T-Rex, and then when the figure girls act like they're holding a beach ball, you know, on stage. So just make sure you're posing. Get in front of your coach, get in front of your family, get in front of other competitors. You know, just get in front of as many people as you can when you're posing, and just make sure that you're putting in the time and effort for that. I might get a question about when you should start posing when you're in your comp prep. I say ASAP. I don't care how good you look, how bad you look. I don't care if you don't have abs yet or whatever. Posing is not about how good you look. Posing is about that mind-muscle connection. I actually encourage a lot of my clients, my competitors, to pose in between sets when they're at the gym, especially on back day. You know, go ahead and, because you're going to be tired on stage, so go ahead and get your body ready to flare those lats even when you're relaxed and tired, okay? So you can never practice too much. Practice in your off season. Experiment with some new routines. Just throwing that out there. And the last thing I want to cover, which will be really quick, is getting your suit. This is one thing you can probably wait a little bit longer. It depends on who you are and what suit you're trying to get. For you girls out there who are figure, physique, bodybuilding, we have those two-piece suits, and depending on where you're getting it from, the turnaround could take some time. So you might have to put your order in pretty quickly. And they're going to ask for measurements, but they're going to want your measurements for when you're show ready, not your measurements in your off season, because you want that suit to fit in your show ready body, which might be 15, 20 pounds lighter than your off season weight or more, depending on who you are. Guys, you can pretty much wait till the very last minute. I know guys who go out to Walmart very last minute and pick up about 3 pairs of trunks, one for prejudging and one for finals, and then another one for the next show. Bikini girls, I would try to find somebody who's local so you can go try on your suits. I don't know about you, but every time I buy a bathing suit, I might be a small in bottom and an extra small up top or something like that. So I would really encourage you guys that if you can, try to find somebody where you can try on a suit. If you have questions about where to get your suits from, let me know. I know a lot of good contacts who pretty good turnaround, pretty cheap. And for those of you who need pro ready suits or pro I guess status suits, let me know too. I have a great contact for suits. And just make sure that, you know, you take color into consideration. If you're somebody who is a redhead and you get a red suit, that's probably not a good combination. Me, for instance, I will never wear a red suit ever again in my life, because once I get tan, the color is too close to my skin tone. So make sure you're taking that into account. I don't like to go for the same color as a lot of the other competitors, so most girls are going to wear blue, greens, purples, and I'm probably going to go for black. So I like to try to stand out, and that might be something you guys want to do too, to catch the eyes of the judges. So just to recap really quickly, what to expect during prep. I mean, you're going to feel some physical discomfort, but anything, you know, outside of the regular exhaustion and feeling tired, you should probably let somebody know. Nutrition, yes, you're going to be hungry. You're going to be eating less. So, you know, I'm sure your coach doesn't want to hear you complain about how hungry you are. And then emotionally, you know, just keep that in check. Remember that. Let your family know so they're not thinking you're crazy when you're going off on them about not being able to eat peanut butter and stuff like that. Posing, practice, practice, practice. I cannot stress that enough. I get so upset when I see a figure girl walk across stage and she doesn't look like she's really put time into practicing her poses. So you don't want to be that girl. You don't want to be that guy. Do not be ashamed to get in front of a mirror. That's another thing. Every now and then, don't practice in front of a mirror because you don't have one on stage. And then getting your suit is something where it's like, you know, kind of just wait and see if you're sure you're going to do that show. Figure out what colors you want, kind of pick a few options, show some people, figure out what color is going to look best on you, and then make sure that you have got the right size, the right measurements for your suit. So that's it for part 2 of So You Want to Compete. The next video will be the end of this little series, and it's going to cover everything that goes along with show day preparation. So from tanning to hair and makeup for the ladies, what you're going to be eating, you know, what you're going to be doing backstage, even going into placings and how to get your critiques, and then post-show feelings and how you're going to feel after the show now that you've kind of reached your goal and you might not have anything else to push for. So leave your comments below. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that I just went over. Let me know if you have any questions about things that you want to know about show day or after the show so I can answer it in the next video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.